All right, let's get on to meta. Tell us about your experiences this week with a certain something.
I will, but the first thing I need to do is change the setting really fast. Hold on. All right, it's changed. Sorry. It was causing some weird stuff. So I'm gonna be talking about Samurai, as I very, very clearly stated at the beginning. But before I get into what the main part of the topic is, I just want to make mention of Battle for Rokugan that got announced yesterday. It was ripped off and then put back up because somebody copied the whole article, like right from the get-go, I guess.
Yeah, they're probably just like, there's no reason to keep it off at this point.
Yep. So it's a new board game. Apparently, it kind of is maybe sort of possibly like the Game of Thrones board game, but there's stuff in that's different, so people aren't sure. Nobody's really, on that ball as much. But essentially, you're supposed to become the most honorable. It's about performing politics, military stuff, and whatnot. You can read like the whole article if you really want to look into it. It looks okay.
Looks interesting visually.
Yeah, visually, I love the fact that they have the colors for the clans on the map. That's really cool.
I think the Shadowlands was on there too, weren't they?
Yeah,
It is.
there it is, right there on the side.
And the Mantis Isles.
Yep.
When reading the article, they said that like you can also because I guess you're conquering like different provinces or whatever, and you can actually conquer provinces in the Shadowlands to gain abilities from the Shadowlands. You just don't get honored if you do so.
That's amazing. So, yep. It looks pretty interesting. It kind of looks cool. It looks like it's a mixture of territory control and resource management. Overall.
Yeah. You get a secret objective
Yeah.
that gives you bonus points at the end if you've completed it.
All right. Well, then there you go. Yep. So there's definitely things to do in there. So, but I wanted to mention that.
It looks real pretty.
Yeah, it looks very pretty.
Yeah.
Looks very pretty. There's not a lot up on it though. So
Right.
take that for what it is. All right. So the real meat and potatoes of what I'm going to talk about here today, or I guess the real rice and fish for you samurai people.
Mountain tuna.
Mountain tuna. Yeah.
What you know about that mountain tuna?
Hey, man, you getting that mountain tuna here? So my fiance and I, we had the opportunity to this week. We sat down, helped her build up her deck, and we were able to play with the 3-core set decks for the L5R LCG.
Something I haven't done yet.
Yeah, I know not everybody has had the opportunity to be able to play with 3 cards decks, so I kind of want to give my just impressions on it, and I want to phrase this right off the bat and just say that I'm not an expert player. I am still learning all the rules for the new game.
How dare you not know everything right at the
How
start?
dare I?
Shameful display, sir. Shameful.
Shameful. Absolutely dreadful.
Here's your Sudoku puzzle.
I'll
expect it by tomorrow at noon.
Of course.
Along with your haiku.
My haiku will be haikus are easy, but sometimes they don't make sense. Blah blah blah. So the first thing I want to say, there's 2 big things about this game that we've gotten the impression. I've played 2 games now. I won both. One time was just
what were you guys playing first? Maybe.
Well,
be a good
I'll
window.
definitely go with that.
You were playing Dragon, right?
Yes, I was playing Dragon, obviously, and no, I played Crane, and my fiance Lily, she played Phoenix. So we were both on a brew is fuck. So we played 2 games. The first game was a very close game. She almost killed me until she miscounted how much honor I had, and I actually honored out. And then the second game, I just absolutely just devastated her via military. It was a number of things, but I'll explain to why that happened to her, because it wasn't fully her fault on that. We both made mistakes. So 2 big things I want to point out, and I'm going to start with I think the easier one to just get out of the way, and that's the complaint. There are too many damn pieces to this game. There are too many damn pieces.
That's everyone's complaint about FFG cards.
I hate the fact that I have to carry around, and it's worse. It's almost worse for this game, because this is the only game that I know that has 2 decks. I have to carry around anywhere between 80 to 90 cards, depending on if you're doing a 40 or 45, with you in just a deck box. Then you need to carry around 5 more cards for your stupid provinces, another card for your stupid stronghold. And technically, if you don't know or don't have your memorized ability for the keeper card or seeker card, or you're trying to test out different things, you need to make sure you have those technically on you, which you can eventually toss away once you understand how they all work and play and blah, 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 blah. But that's still another 6 bloody cards with you. So now you've got 86 to 96 stinking cards. Then you have to carry around honor tokens. Then you have to carry around honor or dishonor cards. Then you have to carry around freaking fate tokens. Then you have to have your stupid dial for your honor bidding system. Then you need your mats, and then you need to get your deluxe versions. No, but it's too many. It's too many damn pieces. How am I supposed to take this card game over? I'm like, hey, let's play a really quick match of L5R, and then I just dump out like tokens onto the desk everywhere. That's not okay.
You gotta get them custom tokens, man. I've got
like
little...
a fancy commander deck box with storage.
I feel like I have to take a briefcase, open it up, and then like it's got like the foam padding in there for everything as I pull out my decks and stuff. So I did mention because I recorded the session last night. I wasn't able to stream it because Twitch was being attacked by network gremlins, I guess. But we recorded it, and I'll eventually get it up on our YouTube channel here. But the one of the ideas I did state was like it would have been nice. Like, you can use the old honor dials from the old L5R game. If you've got like an honor dial, you could use that in place of having stupid honor token, and you should be fine. The fate tokens, I tried to think of some way to get rid of them, but there really isn't a way to get rid of them. You need them to place on your units, so you may as well just have them because you need to know like how much fate that unit has.
You can use I've seen a lot of people using poker chips, actually.
I mean, you can use those too, but you still have to carry around stupid chips.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. I'm trying to eliminate pieces.
Yeah, I have a little bag because I got some of those laser plastic tokens of Crane and Lion tokens and Totori's army, so they're wolves. So I use those for my honored and dishonored, the wolf and the Crane. Crane is honored, wolf is dishonored. And I have those little glass beads or whatever, I use those for fate. Yeah. Honor is, it's you kind of have to use the tokens or an honor dial. And the bad things about those honor dials is that people can easily like move them to another number, so you have to be careful.
Yeah, that's
or you can just use DOS. DOS is fairly easy to use too.
Dice is fine too. You can get like a D.
They're easier to tell if someone's like flubbing their honor and stuff with those.
That was the only thing I was worried about, like the honor dial, was that the honor dial was worried about was because I knew that was an issue that people had in the old games, that some people would cheat by like subtly turning their honor dials.
I have one. That's why anytime I had something that gained me honor or lose it, I announce. I was like, I gained 2 honor. I go to this, so they would know. It would be on there.
Yep. So I mean,
they should be writing it down on paper, anyways. If
that's honestly probably the better way. The better way, probably.
Gathering, you keep track of yours and your opponents.
Yep. And if I was playing in a tournament at FFG, I would have a little pad with paper on it and write down everyone's honor. Just
absolutely the same thing.
You know the states that constantly change. But anyways, keep going.
Yep. So so that's our biggest gripe. Oh yeah, and then the stupid tokens for the rings that you need to have as well. So
actually, you don't mind those.
Well, it's not that like I mind them or not. I just think that you have to have them.
Yeah, you gotta carry them around.
You gotta carry them around because you need to know not only which ones are claimed, but then you need to put like fate tokens on them and shit.
Yeah,
and it's just blah.
They're surprisingly decently thick cardboard.
Yeah, I was impressed by that. That was impressed by. So that is the biggest complaint that both Lily and I had about this game. Was our biggest complaint was that. The second thing I have learned is that in a 3-deck system, it changes up subtly how a lot of things are played. But I think regardless of 3 decks or not, the one thing that we really, really agreed on was that fate economy is so important. It's almost disgustingly important. And I knew it was going to be important because I stated that a long while ago when we were talking. I don't remember if we stated we were recording or not. But I knew fate economy was going to be strong, but it's really disgustingly strong. The difference, a part of the loss, when I steamrolled right over Lily, was because that I got the fate for not only being the second player to start, which by the way is really bloody powerful, just having one extra fate for being the second player. I almost argued starting second might be better just because of that.
Yeah, it's just a way to mitigate it on the first turn so you don't get behind.
Yeah, but then I passed as well, as even though I was the second player, I was the first person to pass, so I got another fate, and I kept doing that. I was always the first person to pass. It kept giving me, it fed me. I was so fed by the end of this game that I had excess fate tokens to do whatever the hell I wanted with. By the end of the game, I had 6 personalities out with I think 2 or 3 of them without fate on them, and she had 4 personalities out with 3 of them without fate.
Yeah,
that was how uneven the match was because I had such strong fate economy, and you get so little. And you have I know it's a card will cost you 2. It's oh, that's not a lot when you have 7 for starting, but it is because you need to invest. You have to invest. It's mandatory to invest, especially in the beginning, because otherwise you can't build up units. And I would argue that those are probably the most important bloody things you can have in this game, which that's no news to anybody.
Yeah, but, it depends on the board state, obviously, but generally, yes, investing people. It's kind of why you gotta, when you're constructing your deck, you can really probably only afford to have, your clan champions are 5s, so you're gonna have 3 hubs of them, and probably 3 of your 4s. Then the rest literally need to be 1s, 2s, and 3s, and you kind of have to watch, having too many 2s in your hand, for your conflict deck, because sometimes you just can't play them. I think the Phoenix have a 2 cost card, if I remember correctly. I think it's that Know the World or something, I believe, that lets you mess with the ring in the conflict, which is really good. But yeah, having 0 cost cards in your hand is actually very big. Like the attachments, you probably right now out of base set, you probably want 3 copies of those attachments, at least in most decks, I'm sure.
You definitely do not want attachments that have a lot of fate on them. You do not want a handful of fate cost cards, and I'll tell you exactly why. And that's because that was another reason why Lily lost the fight. She had no money. She kept getting out-moneyed by me for fate tokens, so she could never play any of the cards from her hands because she needed to invest into characters to keep them on the field long enough to fight me to stay alive and in the game. So she never really had enough money to play. And then she couldn't keep drawing more cards because by the end of the game, even though I wasn't dishonoring her, and even though I think we only went 5 or 6 rounds, she was down to 5 honor because I kept nipping it away from her. She needed.
That happens.
I literally, for the whole game, I only bid once, just across the board. I just kept drawing 1 card each turn. And you know what? It didn't matter because I had a holding in play that stated that I can flip the top card of my deck. So I technically always had more than 1 card in my hand too. And it was fun because I actually used that wonderfully, by the way, because it could be used in conflict at any time you want, prior to any conflicts being engaged, during a conflict. She played down a card, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play this card yet. I'm going to use this ability. And they were like, okay. Well, she's like, well, I'm gonna pass then. I don't have anything else to play. I said, okay. I'm going to use the conflict card that came up on the top of my deck. I'm going to find us the perfect gift for one another. And it was able to do that. And it gave me just an opportunity just to look at it and play a different way. But, I mean, that's kind of off to the side of the point, is that there was just a lot of combinations. Like, having... And because I even built my deck around this, exactly what you're saying about OBS, was that when I built my deck, once you have access to a lot of 4s and 5s, you don't actually want a lot of them, though. They're very... they're so cost intensive because a 3 card you're gonna want a round for probably 2 or 1 extra round.
You always want to invest at least 1 fate on them.
Yeah, I mean, once you get to that point, they're always going to cost more than what they actually are. So technically, they're 4s.
That's why it's
5s.
It's generally like Hotaru and Toturi are like pretty strong to have first turn because they just help you get ahead because of the rings. But like some of the other champions, if you see 4s and 5s on the first turn, you probably honestly want to mulligan them most of the time until you can like buy some cheap guys, maybe put like a fate or 2 on 2 of them. And then, like, keep them on the board. Maybe save, like, a fate or 2 for next round. Maybe pass. Maybe next round you go after a ring or something that lets you play some cards out of your hand.
Yeah.
And you have that one turn where you have, like, okay, I got, like, 8 or 9 fate. Now I can really sink it, like, some more fate on my 4 cost or 5 cost or 3 cost guys. And hopefully I'll see them flip and so on and so forth.
That's exactly what actually you specifically speak is that again with a 3-core set, because you have so many more 5s and 4s and whatnot. That's what happened to Lily as well. She started off the match and she had a lot of 3s and 4s in her starting, and she mulliganed some of them out, but she wasn't getting any. And there was just a point where she looked at me at the end of the game, and it was the end of the game, and she made mention this in the video, which you'll hear if you obviously listen to it. But she states that I should have just mulliganed with like those 3s and 4s. I should have just burned through them, got rid of them, because they were screwing over my ability to put out cards to equal in personalities to at least throw bodies at you.
Yeah.
Which I want to jump onto here and state is that once you get to a 3 or a 4, like once you get to 3 and higher, and even 3 is kind of like in the middle ground, it's kind of that special ground, but once you get to 3 and higher, it really is less defined by what the stats on the left side of them are and more by what are their abilities. Because she, like in the first round, I had Hotaru. And that was it. I just bought Hotaru 5, threw on 2 tokens onto her because I had 2 extra, fate. So I was like, that's it. That's all I'm going to do. That's my turn. I bought Hotaru, and I have 2 fate on her. Well, Lily brought out 2 units to try to defend me, and I was like, okay, doing a political battle. Here's how we go. Start right off, and I have a card. And I was able to crush her. Her two personalities weren't able to fully deal with that from the start of the round. No, I'm sorry. They were able to deal with it. I don't know what I was saying. They were able to deal with Hotaru. She was able to defend against my Hotaru and stop me completely. And it goes back to what I was going to try to say was that having more personalities on the lower levels, it doesn't really do you good to have like a really strong personality out right from the get-go that costs you so much when you can have 2 small personalities defend against it and then a third just going for an
Swarm is definitely better. We were kind of talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
At least out of what we have so far, because the abilities on the one guys aren't like super game breaking, nor really the attachments you put on them. So it's really easy to deal with one guy or to cross the hump against the one guy. But with multiple personalities on the board, it's a lot harder to deal with them because there's no just like I think Kai Zine has like the only real like way to send like a bunch of people to deal with a bunch of people because he just duels one person and then everyone else goes home basically.
Yeah, he doesn't care, but he's his own beast altogether.
Yeah,
so
he forces you into come one at a time basically.
Yeah,
but
he's literally a come one at a time.
He's like, at least off the top of my head, really the only thing I can think of that like completely just flat out deals with getting swarmed. So there's not really a whole lot of ways to deal with it right now. I'm sure there will be more later on to help kind of balance it. And maybe big units will get a little better and stuff. But
I would actually say it's probably not for the best because like I was thinking about this for a bit, and as like the 3-core set kind of makes you appreciate the fact that and I don't know how much this translates over to 1-core because I've never played 1-core or 2-core, and I'm not going to bother with 2-core. But
there's no reason to.
Yeah, but for like the 3-core set, you kind of appreciate the fact that like having a couple personalities, or I'm sorry, going back to that for some reason, is that like the 3-core set really did make you appreciate the kind of the cost effectiveness and the abilities and the fact that you could protect against that, and it's actually easier because again, like if they get out a really big powerful unit in like a 1-core set, you're kind of screwed because you've only got one of your own other units to defend with it. But with a 3-core set, you generally have multiple units to even potentially match it, or at least units that can go up against that kind of thing. So
you have a bigger chance to see in your better cards, basically.
Yep, it really does help alleviate it, and having the big personalities and kind of having those big personalities kind of neuter in that regard is actually very nice. There's almost a semblance of like it feels like whenever I make when I'm looking at the cards in the decks that there's really no one full-blown strategy that you want to like throw all of your money into. You kind of want to have something just kind of in case because the opponent might come at you. I mean, obviously the meta will change and we'll eventually find out what is the best with min-maxing and whatnot. But as of current, the three deck system kind of makes you it alleviates weaknesses that are very very clear in the 1-core. I should probably just say it like that. If somebody brings out a Hotaru on you in a 1-core set, you are going to be grasping.
Yeah, it can be hard to deal with.
Yeah,
for sure.
But on a 3-core set, it's not it's not so. You have a very good odd of getting some cards that can really protect against that.
Luckily, one core shouldn't really ever happen.
I think I think the release weekend is
right.
I mean, I'm
but
sure
after
people
that,
do sealed events and stuff too, maybe, but especially when we get like big boxes, I think. I don't remember how exactly they work, but
well, yeah, but
we might have some more sealed stuff with that. But yeah, you're really only going to see it like one time.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like it's going to be the norm, which is kind of like why I just wanted to play with 3 cores. From the start,
and you have access to 3, so why not?
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
many people do.
I'm very, very grateful. I wanted to state this. I am very grateful for the fact that these core sets allow us to, for 2 people to play and make a dex, as long as we don't want to splash the same clan, or at least splash the same cards from the same clan. Mm-hmm. I'm really grateful for that, because instead of having to buy 6 core sets, we can just buy 3 and do that.
Or you could buy 6.
I could buy 6.
No, that's when you just start buying singles later on online. If you're
I think the only other because those are the 2 big things I really wanted to just get out there, is I really wanted to make people aware is that your economy is going to become so much more important, I think, in a 3 than a 1. I mean, I don't have personal experience on a 1, but a lot of the neutral cards weren't crazy expensive from what I saw. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. But when you start seeing some of your stronger units coming out and whatnot, you definitely want a better grasp on your economy. The ability to pass, the ability to grab coins from it. I would also state that the Void Ring becomes way scarier as well. Because
it's just good anyway.
It's good anyway,
the
exactly.
best ring to go after.
I honestly think that the Void Ring is probably the best ring, yeah.
I think it's just best because some clans don't care about Fire Ring.
Well, I
think if Crab are playing against each other, Fire Ring is basically doesn't do much because no one cares about Glory.
But Void
is always good.
Void is good because Void is good specifically because it burns your opponent's economy. That's why I think it's so good. Yep. Because it doesn't. If they put those 2 fates on, like Hotaru, I did this again. This is something I did to Lily, one of our matches. I went after Political Void. Went into that match, and then after I won, Hotaru burned down 2 Void she had invested on that turn to a unit that was a 4-cost unit that she brought in. That character was not only bowed and was not coming back for another fight, but was going to go away at the end of the turn. It was absolutely nasty. That's 6 fate that she just lost. She lost 2 turns for that character. That is mean.
I wouldn't have defended against you, but that's just me.
Well,
give me that honor loss.
She didn't really have a choice. You
can take my 2 fate. I'm going to crush one of your provinces, though.
Well, I mean, she didn't really have a choice. At that point, I was it was 2 units versus 2 units, but I had 4 more units in reserve.
Yeah.
There really wasn't a lot that could be done. I mean, there's obviously better choices on how to react with it, but I would definitely, hands down, though, when you get to the 3 core set, it does change up a lot of stuff. A lot of cards that either focus on killing off specific cards, or a lot of cards that really work in specific circumstances, based on and I don't know, there's a lot of cards of it, but based on certain values for cards, don't feel as potent, just because they require that they meet something that the 1 core set. I mean, the 1 core set is just generally got a lot of lower cards on it. But going up to the 3 core set, you've got a lot more options and values that you can give for your cards. So
yeah, well, there's just a lot more choices in deck construction. So
yeah, there's
you're pretty much stuck in 1 core set because you're I gotta play all the neutrals essentially.
Yep, and that's kind of why I go back to is the 3 core set does really help shore up weaknesses that any decks are playing.
Yeah, it's do I want another Holding? Do I want another Wandering Groaning?
Yeah.
That's the only choice you're making.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty rough to have.
I hate Wandering Groaning, but
I don't like it as well. Actually, 1 card I want to state I think is really bad. I know some people would say oh, it's really good in situations, but I'm gonna say what I think about that real fast. Doji Gift Giver. She gives your opponent 1
sucks.
fate to bow. I know some people are stating that oh, well, if you use her at the right time, you can win. I'm and all I can think to myself is you don't want a card that you can only use at the one right moment. I don't want a card that's so situational. I'm actually going to pull her out of my deck and just throw 3 keepers into my deck.
Yeah, that's a better call in my opinion.
She's a 2-cost, a 0/2, and it's bowing's fantastic, great, but they can choose anybody, and it doesn't state. I don't think it states actually at that conflict. They just can bow whoever. So
Yeah, you're also giving up a fate. That's why it's really bad.
yeah, that's why it's really bad, because
Yeah.
you're giving up your economy just to like bow somebody. That's not worth it.
And
It's
if they get to
absolutely
choose,
not
then
worth it.
yeah, I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly how the cards worded, but yeah, it's
You
probably
don't
one of the
get to
worst Crane cards in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad card. There's some Crane cards that are really bad. There's some Crane cards that are really good. Guest of Honor is amazing. Use
Fantastic.
that card all the time. The artist, I'm gonna go back with what I state. It's really cool that you get like Sincerity. He does help with card draw, but he's not super important. Sincerity's cool, I guess, but he's not super awesome. Not like Guest of Honor. Guest of Honor, hands down, is amazing. I'm trying to use Brash Bushi. I can't find a really big reason for him beyond to send him in solo and then just like get honor and then use a Noble Sacrifice combo with him or something. I just like if like at the start of the game, Brash Bushi's awesome because you can send him in by himself and then he's like, I honor automatically because I'm the only guy at this conflict. And then if you've got ways to move like other guys in afterwards, do that. But later on in the game when you got like a lot of units, unless you expect like you're just gonna lose that province regardless, just send him Brash Bushi just to get him honored up so he can be useful for like later turns.
Is he only attacking, or does he do it on defense as well?
He does it on both. He doesn't.
Yeah,
care.
he's a
As
good
long as
defender then.
He's the only, as long as he's the only guy defending, he will be buffed up. Which he's actually good because he's got a glory too. So instead of becoming a 2/1, he's a 4/3. So he can actually even participate at your political battles, and he'll contribute really well.
He's
there.
pretty good.
But you do need to be prepped. Is that if you know you're going to lose this province regardless, then just send him Brash Bushi just to get him honored up at least. Yeah, I guess that's the only thing I really have to say about it. 3-core set economy is really bloody important. Do not stack 4s and 3s and 5s. The defining point of bringing in a 4 and a 5 into your deck will literally be based on the abilities of the cards.
Yeah. Well, if you see 2 on one turn, you're only going to buy 1.
Yeah, that's my point.
Anyways,
it's
ditch
so
one. Don't leave it in your provinces more than likely because you're going to invest a lot on the one big character. You need to get something back next turn and probably get like 3 characters.
Yep. The only card I would say is amazing for Crane Clan characters is I think it's Political Rival. This card is in your conflict deck. Holy shit, is this card good? He's 3 cost, unfortunately. That's the only downside. I mean, he cannot show up in military conflicts, but this guy assigns on the attacking covert. He's got covert if he attacks. And if he's defending, he's a 6 political. He just gains +3 to his political power. He's just a 6, just a flat wall. It's amazing. He's solid. I did that. I utilized that in the conflict. I brought him down in a fight that I was losing, that I was gonna break on a political. So on a political fight, because it was they were sending in characters and I just didn't have enough. And then I pulled him up and I was like, oh ho ho, threw him out of the field. +6, couldn't break. Wasn't even able to win the ring. I was actually able to win the ring because of it.
Yep, he's good.
So that's my experiences. I mean, that's pretty much all there is to say on it. It was interesting, but too many damn pieces.
Economy. I'm on Wednesday. I'm doing demoing and learn to play at my game store for L5R, and I only have 2 boxes, so I'm going to be making basically 2 decks out of the 2 boxes. It's probably going to be. Yeah. I have to go. What works for like everything, so that way people can just go, I want to play this, and I can just shove cards into it.
I actually like one thing I will state that I thought was really interesting is like the card Good Omen is really really nice. It adds another fate if you bid less than your opponent. I think.
Yeah, it's good if you're know you're going to be bidding low.
Yeah, just play it because it gives you on any, and it specifically towards your better units on 3, 4s, and 5s. You can just add 1 free fate to them. That's phenomenal. So,
yeah, not as good late game, especially if your opponent knows you're bidding 1 every time. They can just start bidding 1. Then it's just a dead card, pretty much.
Yeah, which is the only reason why I don't take it, because technically it's 2 conditionals. First, you need to bid less than them, and then second off, you need to have a 3, 4, or 5 on the field.
It's a good early game, but
yep.
All right, Mal.
I don't want a card that's early game. I want a card that's great every